Okay, so I am back with part 3 of a video about the circle of knowledge, and I just want to keep these videos between 10 and 20 minutes. I'm doing them on the fly just to make some content and to kind of document this stuff or explain it to people or for anybody interested in something like this, and for my own edification and whatnot. And in the first video, I explained, so if you're following from the first video, you'll know what's going on, but if not, a real quick recap. On the first video, I explained these 8 outside words and how they are the pillars of this circle and how they lead to everything else that you see here and how they rotate and relate to each other and kind of blend from one to the next. On the second video, I talked about the mixing the words that were next to each other. So between physics and chemistry is physical chemistry or material science, between chemistry and biology is biochemistry, and so on. And I went around and talked about the 8 words that are in between and kind of just explained or logically said, okay, well, look, here's the words that are in between and why they're there and whatnot. And so the next part was to start talking about, well, now we have the 8 pillar topics and our 8 combined topics for 16 topics that we're up to, or subjects. And I noticed that from the model of physics or from the model of biology, you kind of have this nucleus and a surrounding, a center and what's around it. And you could think of each topic as what is the core of that topic, what is the main thing that topic, the first thing that should come to your mind when you think about that word or topic, and then what's the periphery around it. And so for material science here, I start with the atom. The atom is the difference between physics and chemistry. It kind of draws that line, and it is that model of the core, the nucleus, and the thing going around it. So you have an atom, and when you think of material science, that has to do with atoms. Physical chemistry, that has to do with atoms. So then we said, okay, well, what's the root of chemistry is the molecule. Many atoms make a molecule, and many molecules make a compound, and molecules and compounds make larger substances. So the molecule is kind of the core of chemistry, is a molecule. Now, again, the beginning of chemistry is more like the atom, but the core, the heart of chemistry is all about molecules. Okay, great. So then we say, well, what's the heart of biochemistry? Well, that's like a cell, because the cell is what distinguishes organic from non-organic at one level. Or, the 4 chemicals of C, H, O, and whatever it is, nitrogen, or I forget the 4th chemical. But you have 4 chemicals that basically say whether something's organic or not. And or you could think of the cell as going from something that's inorganic, like a euglena or a protozoa or these other smaller organisms that kind of do chlorophyll and take light in, but also eat smaller one-celled things or whatever. And so the cell is the heart of biochemistry. And then you say, well, what's the heart of biology? Well, many cells make a tissue, many tissues make an organ, many organs make an organ system, and many organ systems make an organism. And that's kind of your scale up of biology. And the heart of biology is the organism, because you could think of it as plants or animals, but it's anything that's organic, an organism. It has organs, which are these collections of tissues and cells and stuff, right? And so the heart of biology is the organism, and organisms are the heart of biology. So you'll see the word organism here. These colored words, again, are the heart or the core or the nucleus of each topic. It distills what that topic is about in one fell swoop. So then you say, well, what's the core of neuroscience? That one's your mind or your nervous system. All those systems work together to make your body to carry around the nervous system, which pilots it and has your ego and your personality and your awareness and everything attached to it somehow. And the core of neuroscience is the nervous system. It's kind of redundant, but it's pretty obvious there. That is the bridge between the biology and the thoughts happen through that electrical system, which is a substrate of the biochemical lattice, throughout your body. So then you say, get into psychology itself, and it's just not just that hardware part, but the software and the programming and the thinking and the recursion loops between those electrical and chemical signals and all that. And you ask yourself, well, what's the heart of psychology? And you could think of that as like an ego. A personality or an ego is the heart of excuse me, the heart of biology. And so we think of a psychology as a person or as an ego and their personality and their characteristics and how they think and what's their philosophy and what religion do they believe or not believe. And, that's your ego. So then you get on to the bridge between sociology and psychology was philosophy. And you say, well, what's the heart of philosophy? Well, the heart of philosophy is the idea. The accumulation of all that thought, whether it's the hardware or the ego, the reflective rapport that it has with itself, has these ideas or an idea about something. And an idea is the heart of philosophy. Philosophy says, oh, this idea means this, or I have this idea and I think this and this about science or about religion or about... So the heart of philosophy is ideas, or are ideas, I should say. Okay. So then what's the heart of sociology? Well, the psychology is more about the mind, and the heart of that is the ego, the personality. But we said that many psychologies made up a sociology. And so the heart of the sociology is the individual. On the beginning of sociology, it's like, well, how does that individual think? How does that lead to how many individuals think? Back here in philosophy, what's the philosophy and education of that individual? All the way up to how do many of those individuals act and hang out in a culture and do business and in the group? But the heart of it is still the person, the civilization, the people, the civil side of things, the anthropological side, if you come in a little further in the circle here. And that's kind of anthro, man. The individual is the heart of the society. Because now you're just not talking about their brain, their thoughts, but the whole being itself and how does it interact with the others and its surroundings, its job, and things like that. So then you get up to culture, though, which is a little bigger, which encompasses a large number of people over a bigger geographic area or a certain niche of people who all live a certain way. And the heart of the culture are the groups or a group. So it's not just an individual, it's a whole culture. And cultures are based on groups. And so you can think of the group as the heart of the culture. Okay. So now you're getting around to arts and crafts. And there's an interesting kind of wordplay that starts to happen here. Again, there's a lot of similarity because you do arts for form or expression and you do crafts more for function or purpose. And we'll start to get into some of these other words. You'll see form up here and function down here. Maybe we'll get to generalities by the next video. But if you look at the heart of arts and crafts, well, the heart of art is a work of art. You say, oh, I made a work of art, right? But when you do crafts, you're also doing work, or you're producing a work of something, where you work at something. And again, the word product fits in there really, or well also, because you produce art, or you make, or you produce a craft, and you're making a product. You're producing something, whether you're for expression or for form. And so, you see the word work or product. The works and the products are the heart of the arts and crafts. And they're based around, what your work and product is. Okay, so we'll keep going. We're almost through the circle. The next one between arts and crafts and symbology is iconology. We said that area was like icons. You could think of it as graphical icons or mimetic icons or sports icons and music icons and people as icons. But the heart of an icon is its picture or its sound. What does it represent? How does it look? You're getting into that region of aesthetic and entertainment. You're saying, how does it look? What is the heart of the icon is kind of that picture graphic. That is your logo. That's your icon. That is the recycle bin or the my computer picture on your computer. That's your icon. So, and I put sound here, and I'm not going to go into it too much now. I also feel that, there's you could think of a sound as a musical icon. It represents a certain, whatever you're tying to that sound, a tone can represent language. It can represent an action, it can represent anything that you tie to the tone, but it's representing a physical vibration in nature also. And I don't want to get into that too much yet on that kind of tangent, but the reason you see picture and sound there, it ties back to like you think of music icons and sport icons too. The picture and the sound is the root of that area of the circle where you're getting back towards glyphs and graphs and maps and extractions and expressions of data or of something else external or of a picture or of an area or of a thought or of a concept or command. Okay. So now you get to symbols, symbology, and now the heart of symbols is really just like a glyph. You know, you've extracted this thing down into, it's not an icon which can represent more and have a whole bunch of flair and nuance that goes with it, or kind of a larger picture or purpose or a specific setting. The glyph is just the glyph. It's a pure extraction of something that's now turning it more into like a language, or something that's meant to represent a rune or a piece of data or information. And so, you know, it's a pure expression, that quintessence or that pure expression. The heart of symbols are glyphs, all the way from your picture and sound glyphs up to your full word or, you know, combination paragraphs and functions and stuff. But the heart of symbols are glyphs. So then you get to the difference between symbology and language and math, and you have writing and composition and communications here. And what's the heart of that are words. You've taken a bunch of these glyphs that all have different meanings. The glyphs might mean you make a certain sound, and that sound means you go do this in your room, or that word means you paint a picture, or whatever your communication system is. The many glyphs make a word. So many glyphs make a word, but then many words make a sentence or an equation. Or, many numbers and words make sentences and equations. So the heart of language and math is, for language, it's sentences, and for math, it's equations. And an equation is basically a bunch of symbols and numbers put together to make a sentence. And a sentence is a bunch of symbols made into words, and then you combine those words to make meaning. So the heart of language is sentences, and the heart of math is equations. And then lastly, we're getting around to the last two. So in our systemization area between language and math and physics, what is the heart of a systemization system? Well, that's kind of redundant, but it's a system. A system is the heart of systemization. What system or model? Now, I have models over here a little bit more, and we'll eventually get into why. But basically, a system is the heart of your systemization. Or another word I do, though, to break it more into physics, is a state. The heart of your system is what state is that system in. And this ties into state-based physics. And what is the branch, which, we'll get into these other words here eventually, and probably in the next video, like structure and space. Why are they there? And the heart of a systemization is the system or the state. That's the core of what you're talking about in that system. And then lastly, because we technically started with atom, I didn't talk about this one yet. At the level of material science, I said, okay, atom's kind of the bridge between physics and chemistry. So I put atom by physical chemistry because it's the bridge. So I went here. But physics, we said, also does things smaller. And if you say, well, what's the heart of physics? The old argument is, is it waves or is it particles? Wavicles, But that particle-wave duality is the heart of physics. It's a particle and a wave, or it's a both, or it's a neither, or however you want to think about it. It's a particle wave, But that's the core of physics, is particle waves. And that covers both the material and the energetic. So let's see how much time we're at on this one. 14 minutes. I can stop here. This is probably a good place to stop. And so, or we'll segue into the next video. I don't know if I'll do the next one today. I just made 3 of these. And I'm just kind of making them for fun and spitting them out there. I didn't really practice them or knew what I was going to say. I just knew I'd start to go about it logically and analytically and start to break down how did I make this thing and what's going on. So now you have the 8 pillar words around the outside. You have the 8 doubling words or the combination words in between them. And you have the 16 words that go along with those that are the core or the heart or the root of each of those topics. And by thinking about it that way and starting to learn it that way, it helps your mind organize all this data readily. You can call it up a lot easier because you just go to that spot in your head for each one, and you've got that word there that starts to tell you what you're talking about and what that topic's going to be about. And I think I'll leave it there for now. And what will we get into in the next video? So if you're enjoying hearing about the circle, leave some comments or ask questions. And I think the next thing to do would be to talk about, just kind of start getting into the meat of it more. Just talking about some of these other words on the outside now, either the elements and why these words and colors are starting to show up. Or I might save that for the next video after that and just talk about a little bit more about these other words on the outside. Now that we've gotten into the main core words of each topic, what are the other 16 words that are in between all those words? And where do they come from? That might be the next best part, and then we'll get into some of the patterns that emerge around the outside and how do you look for the generalities in the circle and start to talk about the generalities. But for now, if you like that, here's another circle video, and I'll probably make another one and just start cranking these out and put them all up. If I don't do it tonight, I'll do it soon. We'll see. I don't know if I'll just start with these 3, but I'm kind of on a roll, so I might just keep recording them tonight. And there it is, circle of knowledge, starting to learn what this universal system is, how it comes about, what to do with it, and how you can think about these things. And we'll go from there. Okay, thank you for listening if you enjoyed it. And otherwise, have a great night, and we'll see you soon.